Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Peter, and in today's video we'll be testing out the 177 700mm heavy liner in the FX Impact M3. I'll be testing 3 different kinds of slugs: 13 grain sands, 15 grains NSA and 16 grain sands. Usually I'm testing at 3 different distances: 34, 75 and 100 meters, but because the distance that interests me the most is 100, we'll stick to that in this test. I recently did a test of the 600mm heavy liner, so be sure to stick around for the conclusion where I make a comparison between the 2 liners. Because weather can be quite tricky this time of year here in Denmark, I did the test of the 13 grain sands 3 weeks ago, and today I tested the 15 and the 16 grainers. So let's start out 3 weeks ago with the 13 grain sands. That was not too bad. Let's check that one out. Okay, so back with the target. It looks like this. It is a 2.8 centimeter group, which is actually exactly the same as the test that I shot with the 600mm heavy liner. So for accuracy between the 2 barrels, I would say it's exactly the same. But where I see a big difference is in the setup of the gun. My setup for shooting right now with the 13 grainers in the 700mm liner, I have the reg set at 101 and I have the quick tune system at around 2.3. When I shot the 600mm heavy liner, I had the reg all the way up to 115. I guess I could have done with maybe 110, but anyway, it's at least 10 bar below, so that has a good effect on the shot count. But what is also worth mentioning is that a while back I did a test on spread and velocity in the longer barrels, and in that test I was using the 700mm standard superior liner. And as you can see on this chart, you can see that with the velocity that I was shooting today, which I of course forgot to mention, it was 981 feet per second. You can see that the spread on the standard superior liner would have been around 7 and 16. But the spread for this test has been around 4, and that is more than acceptable. So that was it for the 13 grainers. Let's move on to the 15 grains NSA. Bit far to the left. That is a super group. let's go down and measure it up. Okay, so back with the target here, and as you can see, it is a super group. It is a 2.1 centimeter group, which is equal to the best group that I've ever shot. So I can't really complain about the 700 millimeter heavy liner with the 15 grainers. One thing that I do want to say about the 15 grainers in this barrel is that it is quite sensitive to the velocity, because if you're just like 5 feet per second off, your group will start to spread. I bet you've seen it with other kinds of ammunition as well, but in this one today I actually had to shoot a lot of groups and try to find the right velocity. And the right velocity I found just around 980 feet per second. The settings on my gun for this has been the regulator at 122 and the quick tune system at 3.1. So with that said, let's move on and take a look at the 16 grain sands. Okay, so now we're here with the 16 grainers at 100 meters, and let's see how that goes. That's a really good group. Let's go and check it out. Okay, so back with the target here, and it is, as you can see, a 2.5 centimeter group here at 100 meters. I'm very happy with it because it's the first time that I'm shooting the 16 grainers at all. I mean, I haven't even tested them out in my backyard, so this 2.5 centimeter group is quite something. But there is a few groups that I want to show you, and first one that I want to show you is this one. It's the first group that I shot with the 16 grainers at all. It's a 3.4 centimeter group, and I shot it immediately after changing from the 15 grains NSAs and into the 16 grain sands. Very first group, 3.4 centimeters. I mean, that's quite something, and I think I shot it at around 970 feet per second. Then tinkering a little bit with the settings, I shot this one, 3.3 centimeter group. And you can see that there are 3 shots directly on top of each other, well, almost. So, I mean, for the first time shooting this, it's a very good group. But then I started tinkering with the velocity, going all the way from 970 and all the way up to past 1,000. And I found out that the best velocity that I could find was actually the 977 feet per second. And then I want to show you this group, and I am so mad at myself because I shot it in practice and I didn't film it. But anyway, this is the group. It's a 1.1 centimeter group here at 100 meters. And I mean, being able to shoot that group, I think I found the best combination that you could ever get with a 177. So yeah, with that said, let's go on to the conclusion. So, what's the conclusion of this test? Well, you saw me shooting the groups, and I guess that you've made your own conclusion, and I bet it's the same as mine. For me, it's pretty clear that the 700mm heavy liner has passed the test, and this is gonna be my go-to barrel in the future. It was performing well with all the 3 slugs that I tested today with spectacular groups, and the one that I want to mention in particular is the 16 grain sands that I shot this 1.1 centimeter group with. I mean, I didn't even think it was possible to shoot such a group, but yeah, I'm just so sad that I didn't get it on video, but hopefully sometime in the future I will do it again. Now let's compare the 700 to the 600mm heavy liner. The only thing that I can say is that because the barrel is longer, you can shoot with a lower rec pressure. The accuracy was about the same, but as for me, I like to shoot with lower rec pressures because I get more shots. I didn't shoot the 16 grain sands in the 600mm liner, but I guess that it would be performing almost the same as it's doing here with the 700mm liner. But my guess is that it would maybe have needed, say, at least past 142 bar, and I just don't like to have my reg up that high. And if you're shooting 22 and shooting 40 grain slugs, you'll be laughing at me because your reg would be way higher than I'm using here in my 177. But anyway, for a 177, I think that past 140 bar is quite a lot. So choosing between the 6 and the 700mm liner, I'll take the 700mm liner anytime. Now let's compare the heavy liners to the standard superior liners. In the superior liners, I found it to be quite difficult to get the heavier slugs to group well. And when I'm saying heavier slugs and referring to the superior liners, I'm talking about 15 grains and heavier. The 13 grains has been performing extremely well. So if your plan is just to shoot the 13 grain sands and you have the standard superior liner in 600mm liner, and that's the only thing you want to do, there's no need to change at all, because it's doing it so well, and some of the best groups that I've shot has been with that configuration. But if you want to shoot 15 or 16 or maybe even 20 grainers, I would strongly advise you to go for the heavy liner. You saw that I did a test of the 15 grains NSA, and the best groupings that I had with that slug in the standard superior liner was a 4.4 centimeter group, and shooting it both in the 16 and the 700mm heavy liner, it did much better. So if you want to shoot heavier slugs, there's no way around it. You need the heavy liner. Now let's compare the two 700mm liners, the standard STX superior liner and the heavy liner. The heavy liner, as you saw, can shoot anything, and it shoots it extremely well. The superior liner shoots the 13 grains pretty well. I shot a 2.2 centimeter group with the standard superior liner, but there was some spread issues. And the way to fix that, I showed it in one of my previous videos, is that you have to turn up the velocity. But because you're turning up the velocity, you don't necessarily find the accuracy that you're looking for. And well, while starting to shoot the heavier slugs in the standard STX superior liner, to me it was just I wouldn't call it a disaster, but I didn't get the groupings that I was hoping for. So between those two barrels, the heavy liner is definitely the winner. That about sums it up for today's video, but before we shut down for today, I want to make a commercial for a Facebook group that I'm administrating. It's called FX177 Owners. It's currently at around 600 members, but you're very welcome to apply for membership. And with that said, Take care and shoot safe.